Welcome to the Bellydance Stories podcast, a multimedia production directed by Alexandra Molina and Valerie Molinari.
You will hear inspiring conversations and learn about the ways belly dance has become a powerful channel of transformation in people's lives.
I was hooked, and I know that there are a lot of people like that. So fast forward to the first belly dance class I ever took, and I really felt like, wait a minute, like this is my voice. I said to myself, no, like even if this is so embarrassing and I'm so uncomfortable, I'm gonna sit with these uncomfortable feelings. And she said one time in class something that is so true. She said, at first, you have to just dance long enough, give yourself more than 30 seconds that you could get over the initial fear. Mm-hmm. And then you start thinking about the movement. You can think clearer.
But I love it because not many times we hear people using their artistic name based on their heritage.
The first time somebody told me, apply this piece, this wonder, this majestic thing that you're looking at, and hold that inside. But I took it and I was like, okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Bellydance Stories podcast. My name is Alexandra, and this is part 2 of our interview with Bozenka, legendary, iconic belly dancer. But before we continue on part 2, we just want to say on behalf of Bellydance Stories, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for listening, for sharing our projects, for sharing our podcast. And we just want to say, if you believe in the power of dance and storytelling, keep going. This is going to help everybody grow in our community. Thank you again. And let's get back to the interview. What a spectacular story to learn from. Your first competition, it wasn't just you were going there. You had all of these other things happening in the story, you know, that the main character kind of gets bombarded with. And you win. And then what happens? Where'd you go? You went on a drive. No?
After the win, there was because that wasn't the culmination of the event. That was maybe, I don't remember exactly. I think it was the first night of the event or maybe the second night. I know that the day after there was workshops and I was right there in the workshop, but just feeling like standing a little bit taller, you know? And I was in Dr. Mogadawi's workshop because I really, really love him. And that was one of probably the first time actually that I got to study with him. Then there were many things followed because he's also a mentor. I love speaking with him and sharing just the way he thinks, the advice he gives me. And so I was there in his workshop and it was a great feeling. And then after that event ended, we went on a drive. And it was just so much fun. It was so much fun. We drove Route 66. I remember us all like having to go to the bathroom. And then, you know, just Tamala is just such an amazing, funny character. We had to go to the bathroom and she just stops in this diner like that I was like, no, not here. And she's like, well, you have to go to the bathroom and there's nothing else. Let's just all get down, you know, and go to the bathroom together. And it's like, you see like bikes outside, motorbikes, and there's a military base nearby. And we walk in and it was like everyone just like turned their heads to look at us.
All these women.
Who are these women? Because we're all like shiny and, you know, like even
Miami girls.
But you know what? We decided to stay there to eat the service. Like they were so friendly. Everybody was so nice. It was like a bar, like a pool bar with like very burgers and fried food and just like what you would expect. And we had like, it was so nice. We had the best time. Like,
what a memory.
Very welcoming people, very like, where are y'all from? You know, just really, really down to earth, really nice. But I was just kind of like, I don't know, Miami girl, you know, just not used to traveling the world at all. And then
Your life changed.
And then we move on to Bozenka and her traveling career.
oh my gosh, that was another thing. Let's
get into that.
Another thing where I was like, I want to travel. I grew up traveling. When we were very little, we always visited my family in the Czech Republic. We went from Cuba to the Czech Republic. We visited family often. So it wasn't like, and also my father toured. So I had, I knew that people could do this. People could see the world. And my sister also really enjoyed traveling and, loving music from different parts of the world also makes you curious about other places. And so you want to see these places and want to see how they dance in these places, so almost like a dance anthropologist by hobby, I just, wherever I go, you know how it is. You want to check out the dance, the culture from each place, not just the culture, the dances in particular. And I always thought, like, when's it going to be my turn? Like, when can I just travel? So one of my main goals was to get my American passport. So, passport to the world. Just, I want to travel. And then I found myself traveling so much that I got sick of it. I actually thought, like, I traveled so much and toured so much and saw so much. And there's still many places I haven't seen that I want to see. But this kind of like touring pace, I got to a point where I was saturated. Because after doing it on my own, like after winning this competition, I started getting invitations outside of the United States. So I would say that I was teaching in Latin America more than I was teaching in the States. It wasn't until Bellydance Superstars that people started to get to know who I was in America.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So I was teaching in Argentina. I was teaching in Mexico. I was teaching in abroad, in Venezuela. I was teaching in different places. And even in Europe before I really got recognized in the States. And I owe a lot to Bellydance Superstars and Miles Copeland, because I think in Miami, we were before in like a little pocket. And then there was New York and that area, and then the West Coast. And then in between, there's all these studios and all these dancers, and they just didn't know who I was.
And do you think it was a combination of the competition or with Tamlin that you started to get these invitations to teach?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
Definitely. A lot of it was her connections, like people that she had worked with before. Mm. And then she was saying, well, why don't you have Bozenka teach? She was definitely lifting me up and recommending me, just as she did with Amar. And just as she did with all the dancers that she's trained. If you think about a teacher, a lot of teachers just focus on maybe themselves, or they teach, but they don't invest a lot of energy into promoting and featuring their students, because maybe there's not enough to go around, or whatever it is, or they think there is not. But, you're looking at a very, very generous and very sure of herself dancer. Tamlin was always very sure of herself, like of her own talent, enough to put me right next to her and lift me up and say, look at her, look at her. I remember we used to do gigs together, and after the gig, sometimes somebody would come up to me in front of her and say, can I have your card? And I was always like, that is so unethical. I would never give somebody, I was like, no, this is my teacher and you can talk to her. And after like the second or third time that I did that, she says, when we do a show together, don't tell people I'm your teacher or that they have to talk to me. Like just give them the studio card, of course, so that it could go through the right, it's only fair. She's like, but don't mention I'm your teacher or anything, because they see you as like a big artist, and you don't have to give me that credit. It was so weird for me, because I was always like, Tamlin. But it came to a point where she was like, you don't have to do all that. Like, just give them the card to the studio and tell them your name, and that's it. Nice, huh?
I love this
it's
testament.
beautiful.
I mean, like, I am right now wishing many dance teachers that are watching this could actually learn from this beautiful story of teacher and student, right? Because I think that when you coach dancers, specifically for them to get into a professional career, and sometimes they can achieve more than the teacher itself, right?
Surpass, yeah.
It's her pass. I think sometimes we have to be, and I see it a lot in our community, where a lot of people know some dance teachers have this sense of lack of recognition that their students, they have this expectation that the student has to continue mentioning them and pointing at them for every step
Yes.
that they take.
Yes.
And like the biggest accomplishment as a teacher, I feel, should be to see your dance student become a professional and getting the applause all for herself, for her effort. Because if she doesn't do it, you can tell her everything that you know, but if she doesn't really has that fire to continue, like the student also puts a lot in the process. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
And it gets to a point where the student that becomes a professional is gonna get the recognition that she deserves. And like, I feel it's sometimes a little selfish and difficult sometimes to let go, but it's just like being a mother,
I was
like
just gonna say that. I was
like, you
just
just
gonna
have
say that.
to-
It's that process of like growing something and then knowing to let it go and being so sure that that person respects and honors you and always will. The problem is that doesn't always happen. But if that's the case, then you have to let that one go, let's say.
Totally.
Right?
You don't have to suffer it. You don't have to like...
I feel like I cannot talk about my dance story and leave her out of it. I can talk about my dance story and leave my personal life out of it, my relationships. I don't have to mention certain people. But I don't feel like I can leave because she is part of my dance story. So anyway, but that was just a little, I don't know what we were saying before, but that was...
We were getting into your traveling career and how you got into
yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was like word of mouth, To this day, I have never said to someone or emailed someone like, hey, I'm going to be in such and such place. Do you want me to teach? Because I'm too shy to do that. I don't think that that's wrong. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but I've always felt like I needed to be invited. If somebody really wants you, they're going to invite you. So sitting and waiting for that can be really hard. Sometimes you have to make steps towards it. Sometimes you can go to a place, visit a studio, take a workshop, let them see you. Maybe it'll come that way. I used to obviously take steps toward it, but I used to get invited, or it would be word of mouth or recommended.
And this is you building your career, right, during this whole time. This is one of the ways that you did.
And I still didn't see it as a career.
Oh. When did you start seeing I love this. So you were dancing, you were still doing a day job at the same time after the competition, and you started getting invited to teach outside of the US, right? And then when did that mindset transition from a hobby-ish, still working, to career?
Right. So I think it was, I don't remember the exact year, but it was either right before the competition in 2000 or after. I had to leave my job because the company moved to Fort Lauderdale. They were in South Miami, and it was very convenient for me, but the company moved north. And some employees were moving with the company, but for me to drive in the morning north to then go to school and like I wanted to fit dance in. So I was really conflicted. And I remember mentioning to Tamerlane and to the group in general, I was dancing in her troupe, by the way, because she used to invite dancers. You didn't have to audition. She would invite you to perform at like an open house event. And then, you know, then she would tell you like if she liked the performance, and she would invite you to the company rehearsal. So that's kind of how I joined her troupe, and I got to dance along with these other dancers. So I think it was like an open announcement. I just said to the group, if anybody knows about a job, because I'm losing my job, you know, the company's moving. And she talked to me afterwards and she said, you know, if you're interested, I could use an assistant here in the office. I could use help to take the phones, to answer the phones, to book gigs. And I was like, sure. You know, I didn't even ask her what she was going to pay me, but she matched what my other job paid me at the time. And that was really important because then I learned how to book a show, how to produce.
Business.
I learned all the business aspect of it. At least, you know, how she ran her business and the studio and the scheduling, making schedules and hiring teachers. I mean, she was still in the beginning, she was still in charge of who was teaching in the studio. But yeah, I became her assistant. So then that kind of was my day job. And then I would change and teach because I started teaching at night. Once I won this competition, my class was packed. This is something that also I used to have many, many students in the evening classes. It was so much fun in that small space, and everyone was like 25, 30 students all crammed in there, sweating, and it was awesome. Yeah.
And when did you get invited into Bellydance Superstars? And for those who don't know what Bellydance Superstars, could you share what that is?
Yeah. So Bellydance Superstars was a touring company that started in 2002 by the producer Miles Copeland. He was a music mogul, and he had a record label, and the record label was had a world music section, and he was starting to sign a lot of Moroccan artists, Egyptian artists, and he needed to promote the music to sell his merch, sell the CDs, sell the music. And actually, when he was in Los Angeles, he saw a dance competition in Los Angeles where he got to see Ansuya, Sonia Ochoa, and Amar Garcia competing in the same competition. He saw all three of them. And when he saw all three of them, he had the idea. Because he told me this story. This is his inspiration. This is how they were the muses.
Wow.
Particularly Sonia Ochoa.
I know that was the first
beautiful.
one,
Yes.
right?
Well, because
First one, they always mentioned that in the show, that she was the first member.
she was the first one to be signed,
Exactly.
to be like approached, because actually, and I don't remember very well how the story goes, but I know that Sonia, something happened during her competition where she either tripped or dropped a finger cymbal. I don't know. Something terrible happened to her on the stage, and she was really upset backstage, and Miles spoke to her then. So out of these three legendary dancers was born that idea. And so then he started the search, and it used to be, he went to Puerto Rico in the U.S. searching for the 12 desert roses. You remember?
God, yeah, he came to Puerto Rico. I completely forgot about that chapter.
Yeah. He was like scouting
That's
talent.
on the documentary, I think.
Yes. So then Tamerlane was one of the dancers, one of the original dancers, because basically what he was doing is he was getting like the most famous dancers from the States, around the States, the ones that would pull the most audience, the let's say the ones that had the most students and the best dancers, not necessarily maybe, but the most popular, because that's very tricky when you say the best dancers. There were so many, amazing dancers, but he was very strategic on like who he wanted. And he talked to Tamerlane, and she was on that first DVD that he produced. And so it was like Rania and Suheila, Jelena, Ansuya. I'm trying to remember them all, but I can't. But anyway, that's when Tamerlane said, you need to come. If you're scouting for dancers, come during Orientalia. She used to produce Orientalia, a big show on Lincoln Road, stage lights. It was a very nice setup for dancers to present themselves. And that's when Miles Copeland came, and Tamerlane told all of us. She said, there's going to be this producer coming. And Belly Queen came from New York also, so that they could all audition. That's how Keishi got chosen to be part of the troupe. And that was in 2002. I joined in 2003. But I was already teaching full-time, like it was taking over. Basically what happened was belly dance started to take over my studies and I was like, okay. I said this exact thing to myself. I was like, I'm going to ride this wave and see where it takes me. I'm just going to stay open to the possibilities. I'm just going to, and when it's over, but I'm just going to ride the wave because it was amazing.
It was a tsunami.
It was a tsunami.
I don't know how else
true.
to explain it.
It was. It still is. It's like it transformed. Like the wave changes. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going here. I'm going there. Am I done? Is it over? No. It's really, it's fun. Yeah. So Miles Copeland came and we were all like, oh my God, Miles Copeland. And then when we met him, he was, he's a jarring guy. Like he's not very politically correct, or like he just says whatever is on his mind. And we were all like, we were rubbed the wrong way. And I was like, is this guy serious? But he's very, very serious and very successful. And he was a producer for the Police, the producer for the Bangles. Very much knows what he's doing, but didn't really know about dancers and a dance show. He just I think has a talent for like what looks good, what works, what the consumer can
Like attach themselves to.
Yeah. He just, he was good like that. So I had a proposal from them, from their management, and I didn't want to tour full time because I was in a relationship. I was married to my first husband. I was also really happy
With your life at the moment.
with my life, with teaching in the studio, and with my own success, let's say my own workshops. I was being taken to different countries, teaching at workshops, teaching at festivals, not too often. Like let's say in the beginning, it was like a slow trickle. In the beginning, it was maybe 5 really important to me events a year. Like, wow, I'm going next month, I'm going there. And then in 3 months, I'm going there, And so I did agree. But I also had the studio, by the way, because Tamerlane also started traveling a lot at the time. And not with Bellydance Superstars. She decided not to join the tours because she was at a point where she was doing her own tours. She was not going to be in a minibus touring the U.S. on a really, really, really grueling schedule. It was crazy. But we were hungry for this, So I agreed to do, my first tour was in 2003. And it was 55 shows in 60 cities.
For how long? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was, the first tour was almost like more than 2 months.
What? 55 shows, 60 cities in 2 months.
Something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
I still have the book. And it was, we had, 8 weeks. How many? No, 3 months.
Okay.
So 3 month tours. 3 month tour, sorry.
Still.
Yeah, that doesn't add up. 3 month tour. 55. That first one, we dubbed it the tour from hell. It was a US tour. And some of the days off weren't actually days off. It was like travel days, you know? It was hard. It was really hard. In the beginning, it was like that. And it was a lot of music venues, like, because that's how Miles had the connections, you know, in a lot of musical venues, which were really cool. But the dressing rooms and the conditions of the stage, and, you know, again, we were hungry for it. We made it work. Jelena was a huge part in making that work, because she was doing a lot of the group choreographies. I think she was doing all of the group choreographies except some of the specialty ones, like the tribal, but she was directing. She was also trying to take care of our meals, like telling them what we were.
She knows, yeah.
We were telling her, and she had to relate the message, you know. And we were like, we need to eat better. We need to eat healthier. Like, sometimes the food would arrive like minutes before the show. I'm just saying, this first tour.
Yes.
It was epic. I have everything documented on like little camcorder. I have really nice footage of just like us going crazy after a while, because you kind of lose it after a while. Like, it's too much, you know, just sleeping in a different bed every night with a different pillow. But I have to say, when I survived that tour, I came back and I thought, I can do anything. I can do anything. Because it was also not just trying to, so that the viewers, the listeners get an idea of what it was like.
It sounds like an initiation.
Right. Because you're on a small bus with a lot of other very amazing, strong personalities. Like, everybody was like super smart, super talented. You know, it's a lot. It's like if you have like 12 sisters and everybody has special needs, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then there's Isam, poor Isam. Oh. He would sit in the front of the bus and just try to ignore everything that was happening in the back, you know. He's amazing too.
Isam was the drummer.
Incredible
which
drummer.
He's still working.
Isam Hushan.
Yeah.
Syrian tabla player, just incredible person, musician, everything. I can't say enough about this tour and how it was. And, you know, what I decided to do was, they couldn't have too many soloists, because they had positions for soloists during the show, and then they have the backup dancers, and so you can't have too many soloists. So I would alternate with Jelena. So then what we started doing is, she would do half a tour and I would do half of the tour. So we didn't get to tour a lot together. We would do like special shows together, but we didn't get to tour a lot together, because, you know, you had to like step in.
How many tours roughly did you do?
So I toured for 5 years.
Okay.
And I did 1 tour a year.
Okay. And so I'm kind of mixing things in here, but when did Shakira come along?
Yeah.
Did she come along around the same time that you were doing Bellydance Superstars, or was this after?
Yes, it was around the same time.
Okay.
And I had a studio by then. I was doing way too much.
That's
Guys,
a lot.
there is a reason why I live in Crete.
Yes. We'll get there.
Because it was everything. It was so much, but I was just like, I could do it all. Just piling it on. Unbelievable. It was my time to do all that. Because that's the thing with being self-employed, that you don't know like when it's going to stop. So you just take it on. I can do this too, and I can do that. How about that project? Okay, everything. Because you run around and you want to do it. Because it wasn't, you know, it was something that I was good at and I loved doing it. So I was just accepting all of it. but I had burnout. I got sick sometimes. Yeah.
That sounds like a very hectic life.
Yeah.
I
so,
mean, thinking about the touring, having the studio at the same time, plus your own personal tours too,
and my marriage.
and your marriage.
It's no surprise
So
that it
tell
didn't
me.
work
Yeah, exactly.
out.
It was too much, right?
Yes. It was too much. So working with Shakira
First,
wasn't
how did we meet her?
okay.
Let's
so-
get into Shakira.
Details.
Yes. I know. I'm good with the details.
I love it.
If you're in it, if you want to be here for 5 hours, I'm fine. Okay.
Tell us, because I did hear in another interview how you met her, and I found it was very, I don't want to say the story for you. I want you to tell it, but
Say what you
I
want.
loved it. I loved how you explained how you met her. This was the interview you did with Sadie. And can you share with us, when was that first time that you met her and how did you meet her?
Okay. So I just want to say, before I met her, I was a huge fan. I was a huge fan of her pre-America, breaking into the American market, like Pies Descalzos. And there was another album, and now ¿Dónde están los ladrones? Oh my gosh, I was like singing every lyric, it was like something I would put on and just belt the songs, and loved the lyrics. I thought it was very intelligent writing.
Yes, I agree.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We all think so.
Yeah, I love those lyrics, and just, it was like girl power to the max. And I was a big fan. And then she was, I heard, trying to break. I had inside connections. I was married to a singer-songwriter. So I heard she was breaking into, like, trying to move out of, maybe she was living in Colombia and Argentina at the time. Anyway, she was trying to come to Miami, breaking into the American market, looking.
The famous crossover.
Yeah,
That
the
they talk
crossover,
about Latin
exactly.
artists
Yes.
breaking into the American market.
Eso mismo. And, it's like they say, if you make it in the States, and
You make it anywhere.
Yeah. So that was happening, and she was scouting for musicians for a band, and we were in a club called Power Studios. Anyway, North Miami, a really cool place. I don't know if it exists. It was a live music venue, and we were there, and she was there to watch the band, to listen to, it was fulano de tal, to listen to their band, which she took, she hired. It's not nice to say she took, but she hired the whole band. And I met her that day. I met her that evening, and we had a little chat, and I was like, oh, I love your work.
I'm a huge fan. You're trying to control your behavior in front of her, but you're dying inside. Acting normal.
Precisely. Act normal.
Act normal.
Yeah, it was a little bit like that. Act normal.
Yeah, anything that you
And
say,
then
you're...
she asked me, she was like, do you have a card or something? Oh, because I told her, thanks to you,
I belly
so
dance.
many people are belly dancing. I mean, I didn't belly dance thanks to her. I belly dance because of, actually, Natasha Atlas. I just really fell in love with one of her songs, and I was like, oh my God, these sounds. And then I started to search a little more. So, but I did tell her, the influence you have on dance, and so many students coming out, out of the woodworks. And anyway, she asked me for a card, and I gave her my card. My card said Bozenka on it. And, I wasn't Beatriz anymore. And I gave her a card. And then her management company got in touch with me. And then, just, it was kind of, you think it's a joke. You're like, is this like spam? Is this for real? Is this really happening? But, she had already worked with Miriam Eli and Joe Zaytunian.
Which
And-
also are, sorry to interrupt you, which also are, they're a husband and wife, right?
Yes.
And they live in South Florida.
Yes. Yes. And, just like artists do, they look for new inspiration. And so she asked me, well, she didn't directly ask me. She took my card, but then had her management company write to me. And so the first time I worked with her was in 2005. And that was for a tour of the mongoose. And I did the famous candelabra. I introduced the candelabra to her because she's always looking for something different and spectacular. And I told her about Shamadan, the candelabra. And so they found a way to incorporate that in the show. And I've worked with her ever since. The last time I worked with her was for the Super Bowl.
And in working in that industry, what kind of...
No, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. The last time I worked with her was for the Video Music Awards. The Super Bowl, they called me, but I couldn't go from one day to the next. So it was the VMAs. And that was... I feel like it was 2 summers ago. That was the Khaliji daggers. That was kind of controversial. That was not my idea, by the way. That was something that her artistic director searched for and wanted to do. And I was like, we have to talk about these, and you have to know where they're coming from. But they wanted the daggers. So
actually, yeah, that's part of my question is what challenges have you faced in that entertainment industry trying to, teach her and connect with what her vision is and what is, the art form, and what are some questions? I guess that is probably a good example of...
That's a very good example.
That challenge.
Navigating what's going to be appropriate has always been a challenge when you get into the commercial aspect of Oriental dance. And now people are even more aware than before, so navigating that and not wanting to be like called out for being irresponsible or, So what I do is I always make sure that I tell them what you're doing is from this region. It's considered folk dance. It's a very good example of one particular instance working with Shakira for that tour of the mongoose was that they had put a Saidi rhythm. They had like Saidified her whenever, wherever. And it gets really like with the Zurna, and it gets really, and so what I'm doing in that choreography is I am, doing shoulder bounces and, paying homage to this region and this rhythm. And she wanted to do something actually, she wanted to do like robot dancing in this section. And I was like...
Yeah, because sometimes, sometimes I see her and I'm just like, girl, what are you doing?
I had to, the correctness and the gentle stroking. And I have to say that being like diplomatic and soft with how I say things, but still saying them has been very useful. Very useful, because if I'm just like shut it down, it's not gonna flow. So so basically I just used her audience against her. I just said, you have so many people that thanks to you are now studying, and they know when they hear that rhythm and you do this movement, the audience is going to freak out. It's what I told her. And she was like, okay. And that's why she does the rocking back and forth. And in that particular section, thank goodness she does, because the robot dancing, I'm sure people would have loved it anyway. But I think just she got a different response from the audience. And one of the most amazing feelings of this collaboration throughout the years with her has been to actually be in the concert and see her doing my choreography and hearing the people go crazy. That's a really nice feeling. That's I'm like, I did that.
And you're like, she's my student.
She's my student, but she doesn't give me credit.
You better mention me.
Talking back.
You get toxic. You get like, you're like, Shaggy.
Speaking of teacher-student mentoring.
It's real. It's very real.
You manifested this. Remember at the beginning of the conversation, we were
Yes.
talking about you dreamt with working with certain, celebrities.
Oh, yeah, actually, yes. I'm okay. I didn't say I want to choreograph for sure. No,
Well,
I didn't even,
in
it
general.
wasn't that specific, but it was like this fondness that I have with certain people, or like Omar Farouk Tekbilek. For me, it's like his music. I was listening to his music on the way here. It just transports me. And I've always had this thing, and I had the great fortune to dance to his music in Buffalo, in New York.
Oh, I love his music.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
That's amazing.
That was amazing.
I wanted to ask you because I had the opportunity to work at certain periods of my life with certain celebrities, and I hated it because there's this protocol that you have to follow because it can be very stressful. And I know other people have talking about it, like sometimes you don't get treated or respected as well. And like there's, dancers could see, oh, she's working with, let's say, Bellydance Superstar, that we all saw it like this glamorous experience. But when we get the behind the scenes, it's like, wow, this is like really beyond hard work. Like this is sacrificing
Yes.
so many things. And this tension about bringing belly dance to mainstream outlets, which is so important too, because the work of Bellydance Superstar, I think it was for many people very problematic, but at the same time, it really, make this dance more popular.
Yeah.
And like, I wonder if he actually sell what he wanted it to sell. Like, if he saw the money in people were buying music. Like, I wonder if the experiment
If
actually
the experiment worked, I think it worked for as long as it could, and then when it just
couldn't do it,
when he
yeah.
had a more interesting project, that's when he
just pivot.
left. Yeah, he left it. Like he couldn't sustain. Like it went really strong. I don't know. I think maybe until 2013,
Then
and then
you just like.
and then that was the end of that.
I'm gonna ask you a very personal question. Were you happy during these times of like the most amazing success of your dance career?
in Bellydance Superstars.
Yes, yeah. Well, you were having Shakira, or you were having Bellydance Superstar, while you were having your own studio. Were you, now that you look back
In retrospect,
exactly, and where you are right now, where you think like, I was actually really happy there, like.
It was exciting, and I had happy moments, and I have happiness now from those memories, because like you forget about the bad stuff. So now that I am more quiet, and now that I'm home, when I'm home in Crete, now I can enjoy all the things that I've done. Like I could be cooking, or I could be doing something super mundane, and I smile and I think, oh my God, this time when we did this and that, But I have so many memories that while I was running, I didn't have the time to look in retrospect. I believe happy like I am now, no. Happy like I was, and I'm not just saying this because it's you, Valerie, but happy like I felt at the Love Affair, at the last show, when I performed on the stage, and I have all this behind me, and I don't feel like I have to prove anything. I don't have to perform. I mean, I performed, but I was being myself on that stage. I didn't have to. I think you know what I mean. I've performed before, like having my family there, having all these students that were just uplifting me. That was one of my happiest before and on the stage and after. That I was like this, like really feeling like endorphins for days. So maybe I thought I was happy then, and I did have happy moments, but I think I was so tired. And I was running from one thing to the next that Like I don't think that that's true happiness now when I look at it, but that's what something I had to do. Like I just went from one side and I had a lot of fun. But I definitely needed something more because that's why I basically just dismantled my life. I took it all apart and I left very, very far away.
Tell us about that transition.
Yeah. There you go. It's like when you saturate yourself from something good for so long, but you feel empty. You just feel like something's wrong with me. Why am I not happy? Like, why am I, like, I have all this and, relative fame and attention, a lot of students. Something's missing. Yeah. And then I had to go really far away for a while because that was the thing too. I was working so hard that because again of this not wanting to say no to things because I could take it all and just, not knowing how to stop a little bit, take care of myself, take a break, go somewhere beautiful.
Recharge. Yeah.
Without dance. Because I went to many beautiful places, but it was like teaching and dancing and you're giving and you're giving and you're giving. And so I was like, I need to, just like stop for a minute and refuel. And I felt so unhappy in my personal life, like time was slipping away from me because one of those dreams that I had, one of those things, oh, no, don't cry, was to be a mother. I was like, God, is it not going to happen for me? Ay, cosita. So, yeah, I know, Valerie. Don't do this to me while you're holding your precious gift. So I was, I had partners that I loved and it just didn't happen. So I also felt like I was running out of time and I was pushing that desire so down.
Suppressing.
I was suppressing it. And then of course, I had an artistic outlet. So that was great. That definitely filled that void. But I was like, what if, a little bit. And I didn't know. I had, pushed it down so bad that I was like, it's just not in the cards for me and it's just not going to happen. And that's okay. Because as you know, I had a divorce from a very, very long relationship. Didn't happen. And then I fell in love again. But then that was taken away from me too soon. And, I wasn't, we didn't have the chance to really like dream for too long together. And that was taken away. So then I was like, wow, okay, I guess it's just not in the cards for me. But when I was unhappy in my personal life, I felt like if I'm unhappy, like deeply unhappy and running like a chicken with my head cut off, like I'm just trying to distract myself from the way I feel. And when I started like dismantling, like separated and then closed my studio, then I really could try to see what the problem was. I also felt like I wasn't able to go really deep artistically. Like it was distracting and superficial, but it wasn't like my real true self. Or when it was, I was like deeply sad. So I was like, I want to dance from the inside out and I want to be happy. Like I want to fix all this so that I can dance my truth. That sounds really corny, but like I feel like I'm very transparent when I dance. And if like, you can fake it for a while, but if you're not really okay. And I was teaching retreats. Before I formed my dance lab, my own retreat, I was invited to teach in other retreats. And when you do that kind of work in other retreats, like I was the belly dance teacher at a women's retreat that worked on all other things. And I think that time away, although I was a facilitator in the retreat, I retreated and I started to think, and I thought, I need to fix some of this stuff. And that takes a lot of courage. Just like the courage it took to say, well, I'm not going to move north with my job. I'm going to become Tamalin's assistant. Like, I'm going to take that jump. I'm going to take that risk to just try to do the dance thing full time, see what happens. That's not easy, especially when you try to support yourself financially and all that. So it was a big risk also leaving. But I felt like here, I had too many hard memories. I needed to go away. I also had an incident where I was mugged and kidnapped. I was put in the trunk of the car here in Miami.
No way.
Yes way.
Wow.
I've never said this story in any interview because I don't want to trigger anybody.
Wow, that's intense.
So maybe trigger warning or maybe leave it out. I don't know. But I needed to get out of Miami. I didn't feel safe here anymore. That's why I live in a very small place where everybody knows everybody, and I leave the keys in my car. Like, that's the kind of place Crete is, and I hope it doesn't change. I needed to get out of this place for a while. I still love it. I have my family and friends here, but she's making little noises.
Ay, cosita. Nila break.
No tiene hambre.
Let's just continue.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that, because a lot of people are like, but did you move? I moved for several reasons. Like, I felt like several reasons were taking me in this direction. Crete was a place that I went to before, like passing through. And I just fell in love again with the mountains and the sea. And I felt a very, very strong, like, home feeling when I got there. I thought I really could retire here. I love this place. It was like the kind of peace that I felt with Tamerlan many years ago there in San Francisco, because California is very similar weather-wise and topography to Crete. So...
almost full circle in a way of landscape.
Yes, I feel like that landscape speaks to me because I love the sea. I need to be near the sea, but these majestic mountains and how clean and peaceful I feel there. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like, people can get busy and it can get hectic there, but it's a very special place that I haven't felt that way in no other place that I've traveled to. Also, like very familiar to me. Very familiar. Yeah. So I had to go. I had to go, and I was like, how am I going to make this work? So then I thought I could have two bases. When I teach in Latin America, and like I could stay in Miami, and then when I'm touring Europe, Crete will be like my quiet little hideaway, where nobody knows what I do here. I taught 2 workshops in Crete in 2004.
Was that the first time you went?
That
to
was
Crete?
the first time I went. You see, I went, but I still had to teach. But that was the first time I went. And the dance community there was very, very, very young. They were like baby dancers. It was really, really cool to just kind of be introduced there. And yeah, in 2008, that's when I decided. In 2008, I went back to Crete. That was the year I stopped touring with Bellydance Superstars. I said, no more. It was funny because I wanted to stop touring before, but I did one last tour, a little bit against my own better decision. I thought, well, they really need me. Jelena had left. And I thought, okay, I'll just do this last tour. But I really felt that wasn't the best tour for me. I guess it was so hard to leave Bellydance Superstars that I had to leave in this, like, I had to do that tour to just realize, like, because the caliber wasn't the same as when I first, joined. And I feel like I overstayed a little bit there. And I did that last tour and I got so sick. It was weird. It was like, my body said, that's it. You're not touring anymore. And that was 2008. And around that time, I went to Crete and I actually took time off for the first time in so many years. And I decided to go there for about 4 weeks. And then I overstayed, like I changed my ticket. I went a little longer. Yeah, I was like feeling it out. But I didn't make my decision to leave until 2010.
So
Timeline gets a little bit, a lot of things happened at the same time because that's how life is.
Right. It all gets, it overlaps, it complements, I'm just now thinking of the whole timeline and how many amazing things that you've done so far. And fast forward, so now 2010, you are starting to live in Crete. And are you alone? Do you have someone or?
I met someone when I started living in Crete. I met someone.
Okay, and then that took you into your family?
No.
Okay.
No, so in 2010, I met someone and, we started a relationship. And 2 years into that relationship, he was diagnosed with cancer. And then we had a little under 2 years where, there was like a lot, like fighting his illness. And he was just a very, very, very special person and helped me a lot, like supported me, like understood what I had done with my life. What he got it. He respected me in a way that was it was so nice. It was so gratifying. Like he really took what I did seriously, and he's a very, very special person. And he was the one that encouraged me to slow down, but in a way that I could bring the students to me. I had told him about the idea. I said, I'm tired of going everywhere.
To transition.
Yes.
To have everybody coming to you now.
Yes. And he was like, well, this is the perfect place to do it. I mean, and I said, of course. I mean, I came here. I went to Crete to retreat. So I thought, if this place has done what it's done, it's worked its magic on me, I'm sure that there are other people that will like to experience this, And I don't sell it like a spiritual retreat or anything like that, because I think that just the place itself does the work. And that's how the dance lab was born. And we called it Mediterranean Dance Lab, but now I just call it Bozenka's Dance Lab. And there, the first one he helped me a lot with. I used to do it twice a year. It's, the first time was in 2012. And Crete has 4 seasons. So winter, it's kind of cold. It's not like you want to be there in the winter necessarily. I like it because it goes quiet and all the tourists are gone. But the best times to visit are in the spring and in the summer. So that's when I was doing the dance labs. And then I had a few big groups in the beginning, but then it started dwindling. So I took one of those editions out. Like I just do it once a year now. And I've done it with 5 and I've done it with 15. I won't take more, but I've done it with like as few as 5 people. No, I think the time after Willem passed away, it was 4 of us. And I did it anyway, because that was like, then I had to keep moving. I had to keep going. So it's like a balance of like, slow down. But then once I lost him, it was like, no, don't stop. Keep moving, keep going. So I kept I kept going with it, with the dance lab. It was hard, but I had help.
It's interesting when we think about your timeline to see how the relationship with dance has evolved in your life, right? First, you started as a student, as a dreamer. Then suddenly that dancer becomes professional. So dance becomes your job, your duty, right? Then you start working mainstream. You have all this success. And then suddenly you create this pause in your life. And now in this transition to your life in Crete, right? Do you feel this help you to connect with your artists like you were hoping to do, like you mentioned before? And what advice you will have for dancers that feel they don't have any control anymore of their dance career? I'm a person that, for me, hearing you, it really resonates because I have traveled the world, but a lot of that traveling has been because of dance. And I have committed myself to do certain traveling experiences that I'm like, this is a traveling experience that I am not gonna dance or go to a studio or meet a dancer. Like, I'm not gonna do it. Like, how do you think that's actually important for dancers to understand, when it's the moment that you have to actually rethink about your relationship with dance?
So first of all, I love the way you put my timeline into how I've been feeling with my life. Like, now I'm in Crete and it's almost like a retreat within myself. And Crete definitely helped with that healing and slowing down and listening to what I want to do, what I don't want to do. And I feel like that needed to happen, or I made that space for that to happen in order to take care of my personal life. Because if I'm not okay with my personal life, then my dance cannot reflect what I want to express in my dance as an artist. Also, working with other dancers, I realized that part of the experience that that they have in the dance lab is moving with me. Of course, I look at dancers and I say, try this or try that, but a lot of it is just moving with me in the way that I move, so that they're forced to move in a different way, and maybe that unlocks something new or unleashes something new. I'm not even able to put it into words, I think. But I know.
Somebody's gonna give me drama. Can we take a little
You see,
moment?
actually, it's perfect because I have to go to the bathroom.
That's okay. And actually, I wanted to ask just one last question, but because we're at almost 3:00. Thanks, Neela.
She's like, you guys are taking too
I
long.
know.
She's a mommy.
I think we're
Buenos
actually
dias.
closing up in a very
We are in the
great
podcast that I told you about
moment.
where you fell asleep. So.
Yeah.
She said, "Mommy, you told me it was 2 hours,
I'm so sorry,
and I
Neela.
was so good for 2 hours." Yo creo que está haciendo caquita. Maybe.
No, ya te miro con
We
ese.
can always mute your mic and we can finish. My question was going to be,
So cute.
I know she's super cute. Good morning. Let's give her a moment.
I just need to prepare her BB, and that's it. And we can continue.
We have to finish because I have to go.
Okay, let's just do it now.
Yeah. Okay. Neela, hold on real tight. We're going to
Okay,
finish
we're gonna
off.
wrap it up.
We're gonna
Okay,
wrap
so
it up.
I'll hold. Because I have to.
Okay,
go to the
we're going to
restroom, but-
wrap it up like right
wrap it
now.
up.
Yeah. Are you ready? Oh, it's rolling. Okay. Yeah, okay. So this is actually a perfect segue into our last question. Are you dreamy about your future?
Yes. Never stop dreaming. Yeah, I think, something that's really important is to stay curious, My future, of course, it definitely involves right now my son and my husband. But my dance future, I can see myself teaching well into my 80s and working with dancers and just continuing to have my retreats and the special place that I create there for women, because I have a group of women that look forward to it. It's like their yearly vacation. So I see, like, in the near future, I see myself just creating this space and working more in Crete and with my dance lab, and then the occasional trip here and there to teach, to support other dancers, or share all these years of knowledge of dance, and also to keep learning and keep supporting other dancers and expanding. And I don't feel like I'm going anywhere.
I don't think you are. I think you're staying in you're in this next phase, I feel like.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate you coming on this podcast and sharing all of these beautiful stories that I know people are going to be inspired. I'm inspired.
Good.
And I think that you have such a bright future ahead, and I want to go visit you in Crete.
Yes.
I love the Mediterranean. And I know that dancers can reach out to you. You're very accessible.
I'm not as busy as people think anymore. Like, I'm not running around. I'm around. I teach online.
You're I feel like in a very, like how you said, peaceful place where it's probably one of the best times that you can even reach a dancer who has had such a career, so much wisdom, so much experience from all of that. And I think that Nila wants to also say thank you.
Thank you, Bozenka, for inspiring me and my mother. She's like, I don't know where I am.
Already at all the lights. Yes.
Nila's first podcast interview.
I'm so honored that she's with me.
Yeah.
That she's here with us.
Yeah. So,
Bellissima.
yeah, I think it's a beautiful testament, your life career and what you share with us. It's about keeping that balance between your personal life, your dance life, and like that takes a journey, a lifetime.
It's the
to
juggling,
get there.
and
Yeah.
of course, some dancers work differently. Like, some people, it's like and they focus only on dance, and that's their journey. Mine,
their journey, yeah.
I need to feel family. I need to feel home. I have people that are very close to me that keep me humble and grounded, because otherwise I get like too spaced out. I like too flighty, so it's really nice. I need that. And my husband is like a rock, and I always like gravitate towards him when I'm feeling a bit too I'm vibrating, and I go and I ground myself.
It's important to have those people. Well, thank you so much, Bozenka.
Thank you both so very much. I love this. And again, thank you. I love it. I can't wait to share the podcast and my story. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.